It's On the Couch with Graham Standring. A mate of mine worked with Graham for years at Western Springs Speedway. We're in your garage, mate, full of your cars.
Yeah, this is called the Palace.
The Palace.
It started off, I had a smaller shed and it was called the Temple.
Yeah.
And so we went to a bigger one. Well, what's bigger than a temple? It has to be a palace.
Has to be a palace, right.
This is called the Palace.
So what did it all start? What was the first car you collected? Was it one of your race cars?
No, I haven't got any race car memorabilia, apart from a few trophies. I haven't got any sort of cars. They all got wrecked, Nick. You know, I was a little bit hard on gear, and so they all just got destroyed. And I think there's one that had been restored by somebody else that's around, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I just was looking forward, going onward and upwards.
Yeah. Let's go back to your career where you started in Speedway, TQs, Midgets. You've had a run in a sprint car as well, but it was motocross was your first thing?
Yeah, I took up motocross when I was fairly young and really enjoyed that as a sport. But I was probably more ambitious than talented, although I did win like 3 North Island championships and some Auckland championships and things like that. But I was breaking bones left, right and centre, and I've had like knee reconstructions and punctured lungs and all that sort of stuff. And it got to the point where I'd go racing with my friends and they'd just leave me at the hospital and I'd have to get the bus home midweek after getting out of hospital. So, and then I decided to take up Speedway. Or I didn't really, I just fluked into it in some respects. I was hanging around with the Horriban family. Yep. They were doing a TQ thing and got a bit interested, but I'd been a Speedway person all my life, gone to the Speedway and watched from a young kid and really loved Speedway, but never ever thought that I'd compete in it.
What about Speedway bikes? Would you ever think about getting into that?
No, it didn't really interest me that much, because I'd done motocross. And
there is a famous story, though, about you on your motocross bike making an appearance at Western Springs Speedway and failing.
Yeah. It was back when George Turvitt and Gary Roberts and Tony Leder were promoting it, and we had this big motocross coming up, and so the idea was that at half time in the Speedway they would have a motocross display. So I turned up at the track on Saturday afternoon and spoke to George Turvitt. You know, it was all organised, and he said, this is how he spoke, you know, what we'll do, Graham, we'll put this plank up here and you'll just jump out onto the track and all that. So that was the plan. We're going to jump out onto the track and they'd set a jump up on the start finish straight, and so we're going to go around, do a few wheelies and bits and pieces like that. And I wanted to be the first guy on the track.
Of course, yeah.
This was me, you know. So I hit this plank at speed, but what I didn't realise that the plank had been there since 1929 when the Speedway opened. And about halfway up the plank it snapped, and of course I hit the wall with the back wheel of my bike and cartwheeled out onto the track. And
spectacular.
The audience thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. Do it again.
Yeah, except it broke my arm.
Oh.
So that was not much fun, and then the display went on and I ended up in a cast,
Okay, so we go from motocross, TQs, Midgets, New Zealand Championships. How many times were you the champ?
I won the TQ Championship in my second year of racing TQs, and then the next year I was offered the drive by Shane Alex's dad, Ray Alec, to drive a midget for him, and I finished second in the New Zealand Midget Championship in my first year, behind Ted Tracy.
That's pretty good.
And then the very next year, I somehow ended up back with the guy Brent Hyde who'd bought my TQ. Yep. Ended up back in a TQ and a midget, did double duty, and in one weekend I won the midget championship in Bay Park. Yeah. And then the next day I came second in the New Zealand TQ championship in Wanganui.
You've also raced in Australia and the US. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but were you the first New Zealander to win a USAC race in the state?
No, I believe I was the second.
Second.
Barry Butterworth was the first. He won a race, I think, at a place called Hobstadt, and I won my first midget car feature at Kokomo, Indiana, and then I went on and won another one in the Western States USAC Championship at Oildale.
What's the difference? Like, because there's a lot of young guys at the moment, like Max Guilford is racing a sprint car in the States. Zach Sokol is racing a sprint car in the States.
They're going good too.
They are going good. What's it like going over to the States, your first race, coming from little old New Zealand?
Sort of a bit different. It's very different. I tried to do as much research as I could, but we're talking back in probably 1980s, end of 1980s, 89, around
So he was
there.
15, right?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was never 15. And we didn't have like YouTube coverage like we've got now and things like that. So you went to basically the unknown.
Yeah.
And I did did 2 years in America. The first year was just learning about it and understanding. The second year I went with a bit more sort of the opportunity to actually compete. And it was harder. It was quite different in many respects, because now with the standard of driving so good in New Zealand that the guys can go over and drive the cars in America, so they don't have to take themselves in their gear bag.
Yeah. Hang on, so you took your car up there as
Yeah,
well?
when Barry went, and Morris Cowling and Owen Shaw and all those names before me, they all sort of had to take their own cars, and
Jeez.
myself included. I took my own car and bought a car off the side of the road, bolted a tow bar on it, borrowed a trailer, and away we went. And so I was like doing it pretty tough. I was only able to eat once a day because I was trying to race, and I was all over the place. And I remember it was raining at one meeting, and so we didn't have enough room to put everything on the trailer, because the trailer was open trailer, everything was getting soaked.
Yeah.
So we tried to put it inside this two-door car that we'd got. It was me and my friend Wayne Denman. So what we did was pull the headlining out so we could fit more stuff in the car. And off we went, and truly I slept in the car, the road car, and then just raced it whenever I could and did as much as I could. Second time I went back with the Grace family.
Yep.
In a Edmunds car with a Cosworth engine, and probably at the end of the Cosworth era, but did particularly well. We had some fairly creative innovations at the time that subsequently got banned, but certainly got the Americans thinking, where have these guys come from?
Now that's the legendary lever car, isn't it?
No, that was pre the rocker car.
Yep.
That was the innovation that we'd come up with, Brent Hyde and myself and the Graces had come up with. I was able to increase and decrease the tyre pressure on my right rear tyre during the course of a race. Normally we have now bleeders and things like that, but
Yep.
I had a switch on my dash that was switched to a tyre to a valve, an air valve that decreased the tyre pressure. So I could see the tyre pressure of the right rear tyre during the course of a race.
Right.
And if it was too hard, I could flick the switch and it would eject some of the air very slowly, but it would get it to the optimum operating and away it would go.
And you're telling me that in the States they didn't have that sort of thing, or no
like
one was
that.
using that sort of thing?
Nothing like that. No, they're too follow the leader,
Yeah.
not looking outside the box as such, like New Zealanders do.
Ah.
And to pump the tyres up, I carried like an emergency dive tank. It was mounted just behind my seat, so the switch would go the other way and increase the pressure where I needed it. And of course, immediately I won my first feature race. The officials were over it like you wouldn't believe. You know, what's this?
Can't have
what's
this.
going on?
Not doing
No.
that.
And as I said, it got banned
Blimey.
for use in the future.
Out of your entire career in speedway racing, best race?
Got a couple, probably three.
No, we'll cut that down to one. I want to break it down to one.
One best race. There's nothing like winning your first championship, but race-wise, my probably best race was my 72nd feature race, was when I racing with Jimmy Sills, and we were dicing for the lead. We were both probably a good length ahead of third place, and we were really going at it. And we both bicycled, which is getting the car up on two wheels, into a turn, and my car came down immediately before his, and I was able to get the power back to the ground and win the race.
Just nailed it.
And there's only been probably in my whole racing career, which must be tens of thousands of races, there's only been probably 2 races where I've ever heard the audience above the sound of the engine in the car. And I honestly heard the audience cheer when that happened.
Mate.
Often I'd hear them cheer when I'd crashed, but that was when the engine had stopped. But this was while the engine was going, yeah.
Geez, when was the last race as a career as a racer?
For me, it was when Bill Buckley was the promoter and Dave Stewart was running it, and we were running the Century Batteries car and just ran through a season, and I decided to retire, and that was it. And then I was lucky enough to be offered the opportunity to race for Danny Lendich in the Wendy's cars.
Yep.
But as a full-time racer, as such, that was probably, I don't even know what year it was, but that was it, yeah.
So the Wendy's cars, you came back racing as part-time for Danny Lendich?
I started part-time. It's a funny story. The initial drive was to just test the car for Danny at Waikaraka Park at a meeting there. And I'd retired and I'd decided to sell everything and go in a different direction. Anyhow, I'm in this car. It was a real shambles. You know, they hadn't quite got anything organised, and it was just, come on, Graham, drive the car. So we go to the race meeting, and we started doing all right. And I started at the back of the feature race.
Yep.
Anyhow, I started passing guys left, right and centre. I thought, this is all right. Got to third place, and we got a yellow. And then the next thing, the whole fluids out of the car ejected, it overheated, there's steam, there's oil, there's stuff going on, and I parked it on the infield. And Danny Lendich was quite the man. He was quite an aggressive gentleman.
He was a character.
He was a character, yeah. And I standing on the infield, and I'm shitting myself. I'm packing. I'm thinking, geez, what am I going to say, you know? And I was ready to go running because he had a reputation of giving the guys a bit of the old knuckle sandwich and such.
Bunch of fives.
So anyhow, I'm walking back after the race towards the pit gate, and he comes out onto the track to me, and when he was about maybe 10, 15 metres away, I just said to him, Danny, I don't know what to say, but I was ready to get running, you know. I was pretty organised, and he said, what to say? We did this and we did that, and you passed this and you did that, and I was like, oh yeah, well, you know, that was nothing.
That was the plan.
That was the plan, yeah. And anyhow, what came of that was I drove for Danny for a couple of years, 3 or 4 years full time, and then finally we won some races, and then I drove for Danny part-time, usually to prepare the car for any American driver that was coming over, like Jerry Coons Jr. or something like that. And in one of those sessions is when I won my 100th feature race.
I remember that. He's got a ring for it as well.
Yeah, it was given to me by old Norm Sutton, who's unbelievably 39 years to the calendar date that he gave me the ring on the winning of my 100th feature, was when he lost his son, David Sutton, at the Speedway in a TQ accident.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a strong moment there. But apart from Danny Lendich, you were back in a car for HLR Racing. That was something we did for TV, wasn't it?
It was for COVID. It was a COVID thing. It was a COVID thing. We had a situation where unable to bring international audiences, international drivers to New Zealand, so they wanted something a little bit different. So the opportunity arose for me through David Turner, the producer, and yourself, of course, doing presenting the TV show The Dirt. What is it?
Yeah,
Quarter Mile. Anyhow, the idea was, Graham, we're going to put you in a car and you're going to run a feature race.
We're going to mic you up.
Exactly, mic me up, just like they used to do for the Australian touring cars with those guys. The Shell guy, what was his name?
Oh, you mean Dick Johnson?
Dick Johnson, yeah, and they'd be blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, that was the plan. So the object of it was not necessarily about my racing. It was about to just give the audience another insight to what I go through. So I was able to try and bring out what I felt, and we're about to go green, I'm nervous, or this or that, or blah, blah, blah. And so we mic'd me up, of course, the first meeting was rained off, so that was the end of the 20-lap feature. Next week was going to be a 25-lapper, so rained off. That was the end of that. Then there was going to be a 40-lapper, rained off. So here I am in the World 50-lap Championship, all set to go, and qualified the car, and was able to give the audience an insight of what it's like. I'm putting the car in gear, I'm going to change the shock absorbers because of this, I'm watching this, I'm doing that, we're about to go green, this is what I'm looking out for. Explained all that as they could watch the car go round, and did it like that. Anyhow, the 50-lapper went pretty well. I think I was running about 12th or something like that, which was okay given the fact that I hadn't driven in a car for quite some time. And
not that that's an excuse, but go on.
No, but that's as I do what I do. I think lap 46 I put it upside down. Yeah. And that was a bit of a bug. I hit a rut, bicycled up, came down, fell over. Nothing too serious. And but that gave the audience an insight into what it's actually like. Yeah. From a driver's perspective as it's happening.
Yeah, and it's also from like qualifying through the racing, and then so it was a complete package to have an accident as well.
Yeah.
But since then, you've had a run at the Methanol Masters in a sprint car.
Yeah.
In your whole career, from Midgets TQs. In Speedway racing, your career, you'd never driven a sprint car?
Never had the opportunity to drive a sprint car as such, no. So it was created by the Southern Sprint Car Club down there, and it was about an event. You had to be over 45. You had to. There were two categories. I forget the categories now, but one you weren't competing in driving a sprint car. The other, you were still competing in driving a sprint car at over 45 years old.
Yeah.
Bill Buckley did the first year, and he was like 81 years old, I think.
He had a great time.
And we had a great time. The meeting was one of the best ever that I'd ever been to, that was organised and run properly. But it was really, really great to actually have a go in a sprint car, and I was loaned it by Jaden Dodge and his wife Maria Dodge. They gave me the opportunity to have a go in a sprint car.
And you didn't wreck it too, either.
I didn't wreck it, yeah, pretty good. And I wasn't blazingly fast either. I was good enough to finish fourth overall out of 24 cars. But I wanted more, typically.
It never leaves you, does it?
No, it doesn't. And then, so then they ran the event again the next year. And again, it was very well run. And I actually was faster the second year, but I struggled when I got up to traffic. When I got by myself, I could close up on guys, but I would reduce myself to their speed to try and get past them, other than passing them at speed. So my result didn't show up as well. I started the main event in 15th and ran 8th or something like that, which was okay. I passed some of the drivers still competing, but I had a real issue with something else, which is a bit unusual for a Speedway guy.
And that issue was?
Claustrophobia. I struggle with being in a confined space.
Hang on, a TQ is much smaller than
a TQ is much smaller, but it's a bit open in the top.
Yeah.
And
the big wing.
Well, that wasn't. I don't know whether that was the issue or whether it was the surrounding thing for driver safety now, the head containment issue, as well as the Hans device. But the first meeting, I was really quite nervous about it. The previous year, really quite nervous about it. And Steve Warrington, who was my mentor, who's Michael Pickens' crew chief, I thought I'd take the best with me, and he mentored me through it. We sat and talked through it. All the things kept me occupied, busy, in the car, gone. And then I thought, yes, I can cope with it. Unfortunately, the second year, due to my motocross injuries, I'd had an MRI scan, and I was in this machine, and I'd brought back unearthed all this claustrophobic situation.
Yep.
I lasted 15 seconds in the MRI thing. I thought they were going to go home and leave me there. That's how bad it was. So anyhow, I get in the sprint car, and by the time they pushed me from the pits around the loop to get to the track to do the engine start, I had to get out. It was too much for me.
Cow, really?
I panicked. Everything was off, and I struggled to get out. And it's a process to get out. You've got to undo this and undo that.
Pull the steering wheel off. Hans
take
device,
the SARD cover
helmet.
off, do this, and get out of the car. Mate, I wanted to get out of the car immediately. And so I struggled, and then I had a bit of a head issue with that. We got over that. Anyhow, we got going, and but maybe in a year's time or in 2 years' time, I think they're running the next one.
You can do it again?
Yeah, the lady that organised it, a lady named Tania, and her husband, John Severite, they were just fantastic. The way they organised it was just one of the greatest meetings.
After all that, have you ever wanted to race in anything else, like saloon cars or on a track?
Not particularly, no. I did have offered a small drive in a 6-hour race, I think it was, at Pukekohe, and I did that in a little Nissan Sentra or something like that, and it was okay, but it just wasn't me. It wasn't intense enough. It was a long straight down the back straight in Nissan Sentra at about 105 miles an hour. It wasn't supercharged like Speedway. Speedway's
on such a tight circuit the whole time.
Exactly. The straightaway lasts 1.5 seconds, you know? The turn 1 lasts 1.5 seconds, turn 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a lap's like 14 seconds. And there's so much happening in the short space of time, as well as cars that are zigzagging and throwing mud at you and doing all that. It's just it's an unbelievable sport.
Yeah.
And you do 1 or 2 races in a night, or 3 races in a night, might be track time of a total of 15 minutes. But all you can is all week, that's all you think about. You're slowly remembering this and remembering that, and things like it just consumes you.
So it's like a whole different structure, and it's just not you.
The circuit racing wasn't. It was, I'm a great admirer of it. Love watching any form of motor racing, but to compete in it was just drawn out for me. Like it was a whole Friday of the odd practice now and then waiting around, and then Saturday, and then the race started, and it was good, but it wasn't as intense or as exciting for me as Speedway was.
So let's get back to the collection. You mentioned a Nissan Sentra. Behind us is an R35, which is the newest one to the collection.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
But not far from that, you can probably just see the back of it because it's bright yellow. It's a Datsun 240Z.
Yeah, that's a pre-Nissan, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's a pretty special car because Graham's the kind of guy working with him at Speedway. He gets you involved in what's doing. If you've got an interest in cars, this guy can help you out. He started out, we were down in the workshop, and Graham decided to have a rebuild of a car, which is the MG.
The MGC.
And once we finished that, he decided to rebuild the Corvette.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, honestly, I love that car. And then one day he said, you know what? I really want a Datsun 240Z. So Graham bought 2 Datsun 240Zs.
I got sucked into that. You helped me. We went to Tauranga to buy it off a friend down there, Bryce Williams.
Yep.
What's he called? Something West Coast Classics.
West Coast Classics,
West Coast Classics.
If you're importing a
Had 2
car,
for
West
sale.
Coast Classics, go and have a look.
Yeah, had 2 for sale. Had a guy come around. We have a lot of people through here viewing, right? So the guy from the Mustang Club, knowing what a memory I've got, just called by to check that it was okay that they were coming within a couple of days. And he mentioned, I said, so I've been looking for a Datsun 240Z. He said, I think I know somebody who's got 1 or 2.
Yep.
And it turns out it's Bryce Williams, West Coast Classics. Hey, Bryce. And anyhow, so off we go. Nick and I, off we go to down there. And I had in my mind that I'd really like the yellow one. But so we look at these cars, and there it is, and there's a white one.
A white one. Yeah, there was a white one.
We're walking around the white one. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. Yes, but I sort of really wanted a yellow one. This is talking to Bryce. He says, I happen to have a yellow one. Oh, do you think we could take a look at it? He says. So he says, yep. And anyhow, he opens the roller door, and it's about.
I'm gonna stop you there because this is what Graham's like, driven by passion. We stepped over the threshold. There must have been 20 meters between us and this yellow Datsun. Bearing in mind, we'd just walked around one that we weren't too sure on. We'd walked in the door, hadn't even looked at it, really. It was just in the distance. And Graham did the deal like that.
That's the one? I want that one.
That's the one. I want that one. How much do you want? It was all sorted out, all done. And then we got to look at the car.
Yeah, I know. I forgot the negotiation part. I skipped that. I wanted to just get on with it. So we ended up.
It wasn't bad though. Like we brought it back to Auckland, and it drove really well for a car that's 1971.
Yeah.
Hadn't had a lot done to it. I think it was one family-owned car in the States. It had some compliance stuff done to it to get it on the road, but it drove really well. We were quite impressed.
It did pretty well. And then, of course, I got back to Auckland, and I mentioned to my friend Jaden Dodge, that there was 2 of them down there, and he's a car dealer, and he's very switched on young guy.
Very switched on.
Said to me, Graham, why didn't you buy the other one as well? I said, well, what for? And he says, well, you could probably do a little bit of work on it and do it up and sell it, make some money. So I thought about it, and then about a week later,
down we went.
I go, and we bought the white one.
Yep. And then
it gets better.
Graham decided that it was going to be a full resto job because he wanted the yellow one to look absolutely mint, superb. And the idea was we'd use the white one so that we knew where everything went back when we took it apart. So that's kind of what we did. And
we did have the idea of that, like every car that we'd done, which is the MG and the Corvette and blah, 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 we'd actually photographed them with like 1,000 photos.
Yeah, yeah.
When you put them back together, you need 2,000 photos.
Yeah,
don't you?
and you probably need better photos than we were taking as well, because there were parts where we had no idea what was happening.
Yeah.
But the Datsun went back together really well,
Yeah.
and it's an absolute peach. Really is a great car, and thanks for letting me be part
Yeah,
of
no,
that.
this is a nice show, but Nik has been awesome. Nik doesn't know a lot mechanically, but he knew every detail about cars, And so we're working away here, and he'll stand at the sandblaster for hours, sandblasting, the most laborious job you can imagine, but Nik's happy to do that. And so as a team, we work absolutely perfectly together. And so now we hang out a lot of the time together, and we just do shit together. Whenever there's any shit to do, we do it together.
We do some shit. And if the shit involves cars, then so much the better. But that's On the Couch with Graham Standring. If you think to yourself, that's a really great collection, I'd like to have a look at it, then get in touch with me. I'll put you in touch with Graham, and we can sort out a time, because everyone's welcome, yeah?
Yeah, everybody. We often have, like we've had several car clubs through here, the Model A Club, the Beaded Wheel Club, the Muscle Car Club,
Mustang
MG
Club.
Everything. People just come, they love to look at the cars, and we've had just people rock up and take a look anyway, so by themselves. So
what's the car that gives you, that gives the most impact when people come in?
Depends on the age group.
Okay.
Depends on the age group. When the older people come in, older than us by quite a bit, they really love the MGs. We've got 2 MGs, an MG RV8, MG CGT, and they really love the old Jaguar XK120, which both Nik and I are in the process of doing at the moment.
Being fixed, yeah.
The body's up at Metacana with Phil getting the body done, and the engine's at, what's his name?
Jeff
Harper. I'm good with names. The engine's with
Engine
Jeff.
reconditioners, yeah.
Jeff Harper, engine reconditioners. They're just doing the engine, so that's underway at the moment. When middle-aged guys come, they tend to really go for the Mercedes, because they know the value of those things. And anybody that's motorsport orientated, they love the Cosworth or the Porsche or the little Renault Megane, the Red Bull car, one of 822 in the world. Just a point for it. When the really young guys come, they're just about tripping over their dicks to get to the R35. They just love that thing. I mean, they're all over it. Wherever you go with that thing, everyone wants to take photos of it. So it's pretty cool. But a character car is the little Mini Cooper S here. Everybody's got a mini story, whether it was your mum's one, whether you had 12 people in it, whether you...
The first car you stole.
Whether you had to pick it up to park it somewhere, do something like that. So there's plenty of stories here, and every car's got a story. Everybody's welcome. We love having people around, see what we do, and see what we're doing in the midst of a restoration as such, how we go about it between the two of us. Yeah.
Come and see us.